over to you directly. I no need to introduce you. Now you become a very popular face now. So over to you.
Okay, I think this is the last speaker session. I'll try my best because there is typically nothing left to talk after everybody spoke and Paul sir said already that all the fast bowlers are done, even landscape spinner is done. So who is left? I think I'll try to be a Mohinder Amarnath, a utility player. So hopefully I can do justice to that role. Let's see how it goes, and I'll try to keep you all awake. So there were, when we were discussing before this summit, there were questions that where AI, where is it going to take, how is it going to impact. Let's look at just a few slides as an introduction. I think everybody will understand what I'm trying to convey here. Basically, from I think people who are old enough like me would have traveled in all the modes of transport. Starting from bullock carts to, this is all local transport. I'm not talking about high flying rockets and aeroplanes, etc. Just the local village or city kind of a commute. What were we using earlier? And where are they gone? Are the jobs lost? Are there people losing lives over this? No, they have evolved, they have changed. And we have adapted to our different modes of transportation. That's what happens in every industry. This is an example from the transport. Look at agriculture, how we were earlier. And obviously, I can't go into too many details of this because there is a lot of dearth of labor force in agriculture. I'm aware of that from an agricultural background that I come from. So leaving that aside, it was manual work, lot of manual work with bullock carts, even sowing of seeds. Now we have tractors who can sow seeds. We have got harvesting machines that can harvest the crop with this. It's an evolution process. There is nothing good or bad. I'm not here to say this is good, this is bad. I'm just trying to convey that this is where the world is going, and it's up to us whether we want to go ahead with the world, move ahead in the same direction, or just be stagnant and be where we are and probably become irrelevant later on. So that's where the choice is. Look at construction also. I think some people from the construction industry here, how it was manual labor, laying each rock by rock or brick by brick, however it was, to even the scaffolding, bamboo scaffolding that we see even in villages or towns. That's how it is. The scaffolding is still bamboo, but things have changed, evolved. In larger construction sites, you have got ready mixers, concrete mixers. We have got a lot of things changed now in terms of construction, and now we are at a stage where even homes are getting 3D printed and being set up. That's where we are. And if the construction industry said no, we don't want to adopt this, where will we be? And will we have these skyscrapers? No way. And this is what impacts everybody. Banking, from the day you have manual cash counters, go to a bank. I don't know how many of you went to a bank in the last, let's say, 3 months. Not take 1 year, probably you would have gone once at least, because banks force you to go sometimes. But at least in the last 3 months, how many of you went to a bank physically? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands maximum in this entire hall. Why? That means banks don't have any employees anymore. Like banks are not employing, they're not recruiting, banks have become irrelevant. No, because it has changed. In fact, if you see today, banks are employing more workforce than earlier. There was no marketing in the banks earlier. Was there any bank that was doing marketing earlier? Now you have targets for banks, just like in any industry. Right? They have targets for deposits, for loans, lending, everything. They've got targets. So that's where it is. And today we have the convenience of paying even a chai 5 rupees through UPI. That's where we are. And this evolution, all I'm trying to convey is that it is inevitable. Evolution is natural and it is inevitable. It's up to us whether we want to close the door, either because of fear, not accepting the reality or whatever, or we say this is where outside world is and I need to move out. I can't be in my own cocoon and I'll have to look out and accept the reality and move forward. That's what I wanted to start off my presentation with. And this is what I think I spoke about earlier. Paul sir was talking about this, that the attention spans of human beings in general, forget about security, have become smaller. We had YouTube videos. You were watching YouTube videos. Now are we watching YouTube video? You watch shorts. How many of you are watching big 1 hour YouTube videos now? Not even shorts. Maybe 1 minute video, 2 minute video is maximum you see. The attention spans are going down. And with that, what does it happen with security? Your risks become much more exponential because of your attention spans are going down. And how do you address that? We need to take the help of technology for that. We need to ensure that technology pushes me to attend. Hey, look at this, there is something important. then I look at it. So unless somebody forces me, and the technology is going to help me in that aspect of bringing my attention to what is really important and relevant, rather than just drowning me with lot of data. That's where we need to use technology, and that's where it is important for us to be here, to understand how technology works and to implement it in our workforce and daily lives. So this is typically traditionally how it was, CCTV, because see, AI and generative AI is a very vast subject, and I am trying to restrict myself only to the extent of video analysis. I'm not getting into anything else because we are in that field, and I'm from that background of taking the video from the existing CCTV cameras, analyzing them, and giving out data, churning out data and intelligence out of that. So that's where I come from. So I'm restricting myself to that aspect. So earlier, when you look at cameras or surveillance, you put up cameras, decide where coverage is required, and how many days of storage you want, and your job is done typically. So you forget about that most of the time, and only when some incident happens, you go back and try to check. Right? It's diagnostic purposes. Today, it's not so, because we have the technology that allows us to do a lot more than that, and that's our tagline: do more with surveillance. Duranc was formed with that idea of doing more with surveillance. So be proactive. Like I said, it will ensure that our attention is drawn to whatever is required. If there is a perimeter breach, immediately the live video also comes up, not just the alert, but the video of that particular camera pops up on the screen. So I'm forced to look at that immediately. And then it becomes predictive over a period of time, saying that, yeah, if this guy is roaming around here, maybe there is chance of coming. So it forces our attention spans. And like earlier, I think one of the speakers was saying, it is considered as a cost so far, because security, what is the budget? I think we were discussing during the break also, what is typical allocated budget? I said, I don't know, from if your asset is of X value, what should be the percentage of amount that you spend to safeguard it? I don't know that. Probably industry people might tell. From my background, I don't have an answer for it. But once you consider that as a cost earlier, it becomes a strategic asset, because you move it not just from a security perspective, but also from your business processes perspective. As long as you can get some data out of it, which will help you in your business outcomes, that's where it becomes an asset. And that's what we intend to do with surveillance and AI. So though we are currently restricting ourselves to the impact it will have on the security, it is also going to have a lot of impact in terms of business outcomes. The topic is real-time surveillance. So basically, I'll say real-time analytics is what it is. So when we say real-time analytics, consider a scenario where there is a perimeter breach that happened. So the guy just jumped the wall, and for 2 minutes he was left unnoticed, and then some got identified and did whatever. Is that just a lapse or delayed response, or is it a security breach? You consider it as a security breach. It's not just a delayed response. So that's where real time matters. The moment something happens, that's where your attention needs to be immediately. Because if you delayed response is actually no response. Like how they say, right? Delayed justice is no justice or injustice. That's how it is going to be in security as well. And it's all the more critical based on the type of asset or environment that we are trying to protect. Not everything is the same. Obviously, what damage it can do to a business versus what damage it can do to a home is different. So based on all those parameters that need to be considered, but overall, real time is going to be critical. So unless you have some immediate responses to it, it is going to be very difficult for us to move forward in the security industry. And what helps us in ensuring that we have a real-time analytics or real-time notifications happening to us is a fusion of technologies. It's not just one. You need to have a good network. You need to have a good camera, obviously, camera with resolutions. Like I say, with Duranc, we can do analytics even on an analog camera also. Even older analog cameras can be brought into the same platform. IP, analog, all of them together. We can manage all of them. We can run analytics on even analog cameras also, so that you can protect your existing investment. I don't say that the accuracy levels will be the same. Like for example, when Bharani sir was talking in the morning in the warehouse scenario, a lot of those cameras were analog cameras with cobwebs, like he was mentioning. So why did it take 1 year for 300% reduction? Is because of all these, a lot of other factors. The kind of cameras that we have, the kind of networks that we have, all of them need to come together to be able to ensure we have a good result. And then systems need to be scalable. So things that are changing in the technology world. what you can do in this size of a camera is limited versus what you can do in a GPU form, a server form. So that's where the differentiation is. As long as the technology improves further, there will be a lot more things we can do on the edge, but at the moment it's more on the cloud that we focus on. So when we look at only real time, the issue that comes is the alert deluge. There are two things when you talk about AI, right? One is the false alarms, and typically everybody talks about false alarms. Right? There was an event, it was false, right? Yes, there is one false alarm. What about false negatives? There is another thing called false negative. That means you missed detecting a person, and there is always a trade-off. Technology is not 100%, just like anything else, and we are not perfect. And what we create, obviously, we can't expect that to be perfect. If I myself am not perfect, I can't expect what I create to be 100% perfect. So what happens is this trade-off between false positives and false negatives is what we try to manage in AI. So there are options that we provide. For example, in our own product, let's say that you consider that, let's say, system detects somebody as a human being. It may be a human being in the night, maybe it misidentified something as a human being. So it throws out a confidence level. I think that this is a human being with 90% confidence, 95% confidence. So you put a layer saying that, okay, only if you detect something as a 95% confidence level that this is a person, then you throw me an alert and show me. Otherwise, ignore it. Now what happens is, if something is detected as 80%, you may not get it. So it's a false negative for you. So are you okay? To what level of false negatives are you okay with versus how much of false negatives or false positives you're okay to receive? So it's a trade-off between these two in AI, and that's a learning process over a period of time. There is no one size fits all, like in anything in life. So there's no one size fits all. So we try to work with the environment that you have, different locations, different environments. We need to identify what suits there and then apply it there. Yeah, I think this point I have probably missed. This 80% of alerts, typically, even though alerts are there are a few places I saw, both in India as well as in the US also, where people have set up analytics on the cameras, because these days a lot of cameras have analytics, right? You might have used even the lowest of 3,000 rupee camera of Hikvision, for example, or maybe I shouldn't take the name, I'll take back the name, but whatever cameras that you're using, they are coming with some kind of analytics inbuilt in them. Ask any of you, if you are using that, have you used the analytics built in those cameras? People don't. Even if they will set up, but in the customer of one of the customers in the US that I saw, one day, they had about 380 cameras across their facility. There were 5 lakh events generated. Who will have the time to see 5 lakh events? I asked them, what are you doing with it? So they said, no, we're not doing anything. Obviously, you can't do anything. It's not that you're not doing anything. You can't do anything with it. How many people you will employ in the US to see 5 lakh events in a day? It's impossible. So the reason is because you have not optimized that. You need to draw a zone which is important for you. You put up your camera slightly facing to the road, and you say that detect any movement there. It will keep detecting every movement that happens. Is it relevant for you? No, it's not. So you need to work with what is relevant for you, what is not relevant for you. You can't be just drowned in terms of the alerts. That's the first shift in terms of real-time analytics. So, but it's a good step though. I mean, at least somebody had an intention to say, yeah, we need to apply analytics and we need to do something about it. The next step is to optimize it. We can't start off trying to be 100% perfect. We'll start off somewhere, see some results. Even if 10% improvement is a good start, I would say, then improve it further on top of that. So what we need is speed, which is basically the real time. Then we need the context. In which context we are looking at that. Is it a road? Is it somebody really coming in? A lot of things that go around it. And then how it can adapt to your varying environments, different locations, etc. All three of them put together gives you the adaptive intelligence, which makes it more relevant. So the AI becomes more relevant for you at that point of time. This is a lot of things that go in the back end in the platform. All of these seamlessly need to work as an orchestrated mechanism, starting from the first glass to the last glass. So the first glass is the lens of the camera. The last glass is the screen that I am seeing in my command control center. From there to there, one is latency, how quickly you are seeing it. But for that to happen, all of these need to be put in place, where you take the data from the camera that comes in, you have the right networks, you try to identify if there is an issue with that, frames, extract those frames, etc., all that goes on in the back end. And this is what we have been focusing on. That's how our product, I am proud to say, this is the product that we built. So finally, what happens is that instead of having to look at every event or every camera all the time, from eyeball monitoring, what we call, to event-based management. So you get triggers in the real time in the command control center, and it need not be a central command control center. It could be a distributed command control center also. It's not necessary that all of your data needs to come to a central place. Obviously, it will have its own cost in terms of bandwidth or whatnot. So it is possible to have distributed command control centers for each of your locations, and there could be a central command control center as well. The metadata alone can come to the central location. The rest of the data gets processed locally in those local networks, so that you're not bombarding all your data out. And you focus on what is important through alerts that get triggered. And when you start implementing, these are some of the things that you need to focus on in terms of what is the latency, which I mentioned earlier, and the precision and recall of the model, which is basically the false positives and false negatives, how much of right aspects it's able to bring in, how much of it is missing, etc. And efficiency for the operator, like if you get 5 lakh events in a day, how many operators will you need? If you typically get about 3,000 events, how many people will you need? So versus what is the expected rate? So all of that operator efficiency is something that you can measure, how many I'm able to handle. If I'm the guy sitting in front of the system as a security guard or a security operator, how many events can I handle? If it really based on the SOP also. So you'll have to look at what kind of events typically you get, and this doesn't happen on a day one. This happens over a period of time based on your SOPs also. Is it enough if I just say, yeah, there was some breach and I called somebody and that's it, I can close that event? Is that okay? Or you need some elaborate process for it? Depending on that, that will vary. And obviously system uptime, how good it is, reliabilities and all that. I mentioned this during our panel discussion briefly, so I will not touch upon a lot more. So there are a lot of aspects to it in terms of putting AI to the task and say, yeah, this is what you were supposed to do, and did you follow this process or not, and put guardrails around the AI. So overall, the future of the security operations centers are going to be a mix of human and the systems, the AI platforms. So AI works as a co-pilot. It's not going to be the pilot alone. So most of the times, I think we know, all of us who fly, that it's the autopilot that runs, but is the pilot not there? Pilot is required for judgment purposes. Whatever the machine is doing, most of the times it's fine. And how do we judge a pilot? It's when it's not in autopilot mode. We judge the pilot because of that. We judge the pilot when how is he landing, is it smooth or not, and how is he taking off, how much of distances are there. So AI works in a co-pilot mode only. It's not going to be a pilot anytime soon, or even for a long foreseeable future. At least till our work lives are over, let me say that. So till that point of time, I don't expect that AI will become the complete pilot. It will be in a co-pilot mode, and it's necessary to have it because we can focus our energies on what is required, and it helps us focus our energies. AI, as we spoke about during our panel, is good at speed and consistency, which we are not. I'm not consistent all the time because of a lot of things that go on in my mind. I'm not focused only on the screen in front of me. I'm focused on so many things. A lot of things go on in my back. So AI is good at those two things, consistency and speed. We are good at judgment, understanding, empathy, ethics, all of that. We'll focus on it, so it will be a co-pilot mode working together. With this in place, this is what you will get. And every industry, there will be examples. If you look at customer satisfaction, improvement of customer satisfaction, there will be examples in terms of how you can do, like the use case that earlier we spoke about for a delivery model, right? For a bill, whether everything is packed properly or not, or whether adherence to standard operating procedures, whether people are supposed to wear a PPE kit in an area when they go to a sensitive area, especially in the pharma industry, for example. You go inside a dust-free zone, and whether people are wearing the right kind of equipment or not. System can detect that, and it can tell you. So the outcomes, it's good at that. I think this is a quick recap. Real-time analytics are going to stay. AI is going to stay, and we are driving towards that future, and happy to be part of this future that we are co-creating together with all of us, all of you. So thank you. With that, I think I'll close. Any questions? I'm happy to take.
On a very basic level, when we talk about surveillance analysis and also using the AI in it, can the surveillance system specifically define the events and ease up the human intelligence that we do in SOC? With very small example, it's like for tail rating incidences and events, when we even say that any motion is occurring and any event that the camera is thinking that it is an event, the human in front of the screen is saying, no, this is tailgating and this is not. So can it be like simplify from the surveillance system than to the human actions?
It is possible, but we are slightly still not there yet, especially in terms of tailgating, because a lot of things need to work in a coordinated manner. So it's not just one aspect of the camera knowing that there are two people. There are practical challenges also. It's not a technical limitation per se, but it's a practical limitation. When people come close together, I can't see the face. I'm using the camera, basically. Right? So the camera and then the software also, because the camera is what gives me the feed. And if that is not very clearly visible for me, I cannot identify. If you want to use facial recognition, if we just want to use the count, there should be a coordination between how many people enter versus how many people are counted through the camera. I've actually shown their card. Maybe you throw a card, maybe you have a RFID card, whatever way you are using your access control mechanism. How many people actually pass through the access control, because the access control is done by something else. It's not done by the camera, right? It's not done by the video analytics, unless you're using facial recognition, obviously. So if you're using facial recognition, then yes, I know that Vamsi's face is recognized, the guy behind is not recognized. But then what stops it? I cannot put a hand and say stop, you are not showing your face. It is a human being that is required in between. It can trigger an event, obviously, yes, it's possible. And then the security operations guy will have to check and say what happened and take action on it. If you take action on it, it will reduce. The number of incidences will definitely reduce for a period of time.
Just put some light on predictive intelligence, like AI being used for predictive intelligence. What's the current trend?
Yes. See, predictive intelligence flows out of analyzing the existing data. Predictions come based on past data, like what we see in financials everywhere, right? Past performance is not indicative of future performance. So predictive is based on past. So what we see and what kind of trend that we have seen, like for example, every Wednesday there is a red car coming. Is that really a bad thing? I don't know. At 10 o'clock there is a white car comes every night. Doesn't matter. Maybe the same number plate, maybe slightly matters more than the color if it's the same number that's coming every night, for example, every Wednesday night. So these kind of analysis can happen over a period of time. It's not one time. So prediction needs a lot of this data, and we are still in the process of getting the data accumulated over a period of time for most of the customers, at least, because the adoption of AI has been slow for multiple reasons. One is the faith, the trust in the technology was not there initially. People are slowly becoming to trust it more, saying that yes, I need to implement it. So trust factor, cost factor, obviously yes. So those factors were there, and now that it's slowly improving, very soon we will get there.
Guru here from London Stock Exchange. So I have a question about, so most of us are heavily invested in renowned brands providing legacy systems. And when we have to look into employing AI technology into our CCTV or access control systems, for example, how well it can integrate with the usage of legacy systems, maintaining it so that we are not reinvesting a heavy amount into that. How well it can integrate with the existing systems.
Definitely, you raised a good point, and that's where we started our journey of building the system. That we work with any existing camera, any make and model, from any number of locations, from any type of a network. That's been our goal. Be device agnostic, be network agnostic. For the two mantras and the founding pillars that we followed when we started building this product from the ground up. So it doesn't matter what kind of cameras you have, as I said, even analog cameras. But obviously the quality of the field, the resolution matters, right? Especially if it is facial recognition. If it is just to detect there is a human being, I don't need high resolution. I can do it at 640/480 also. Even slightly lesser, to just detect that there is a human being there. So for perimeter protection purposes, your analog cameras will do fantastic job, no problem there. But if you want to do facial recognition, if you want to do number plate detection, you will need higher resolution, higher frame rates. That's where analog will not work. But we have the capability to take the feed from any type of a camera, from any type of a network. When I say any type of a network, not all your locations may have a public IP. Typically, since you have asked this question, I would assume that you would know that to access some location, you will need a static public IP typically. What if you don't have a static public IP location? How do you access that? So we have built around mechanisms and solutions that you don't need a specific type of a network, specific type of an IP. The solution works with any type of a network. Even from a moving vehicle, we can take the feed, for example. So we have a use case where we have set up cameras in the ambulance and we're giving the feed to the hospital so that the doctors can actually guide the paramedical staff in the ambulance. So we have those use cases with us. So it's evolving, but we have built this solution to be completely network agnostic and device agnostic. It works with existing infrastructure. Regulatory framework, I will not get into at this point. We had earlier discussions around it. It's evolving. Definitely, yes, there are regulations. There are some self-imposed regulations, and there are some regulations imposed by whether it is our organization, whether it is the state or the country. So there will be regulations, and there are some IT acts like IT Act 2000, DPDP Act that people spoke about earlier. There are regulations already in place. Like for example, the data should remain in India. Earlier we were using US cloud, like for our own case, right? So earlier we were using US servers because obviously the GPUs were cheaper there. Why would I use India servers in India if I'm getting at a much lesser cost and my latency is less? Latency is a few milliseconds. I don't care. I need to get my cost down so that I can pass on to the customer, right? I can't charge heavy. So we were using that. Now things have improved in both cost perspective as well as legal framework perspective, regulatory. All our servers are in India now. All the data remains in India. Our own perspective, I'm telling. So that there is evolution that happens everywhere. Yes. Okay.
Digital life certificate in India on AI based. Is there any role?
Digital life certificate meaning whether you are
That pensioners and government officials are facing because the internet gateway to other countries is not working. When they want to, if a person is not in India before December of whatever the year ending, and if he doesn't submit the life certificate, is not going to get his pension or whatever. Is there any artificial intelligence role in this, sir?
that is out of syllabus whether I'm in India or not. I can't comment on it. That's a regulation. But what I can comment is the role of AI in terms of detecting. Let's say, for example, you record a fail, and I can detect if it is live or not. For example, yes or not. So there is the role of AI.
OTP is not generating, sir. Actually, the gateways.
I'm not aware of that, but I'm saying how AI you use is liveness detection.
Because one of
photo that you are showing for attendance taking, for example,
because
same as that.
this Jeevan Praman, the software developed mainly by government, so there are some issues actually. Yeah.
Let's get somebody from government to answer.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.